going to talk about advancing your degree in education, and like I was talking about before we got started today, it is primarily going to touch on nursing education, but we're also going to talk on other educational opportunities as well. So the objectives today are the types of degrees and programs that are available, online versus traditional schooling. We're going to name 5 traditional schools in the area offering programs. We're going to name 6 online schools that offer programs. We're going to talk about paying for school, funding, tuition reimbursement, cash payments, how to do your FAFSA, things like that. And then if returning to school is even going to be right for you or not. So, any questions about the objectives? Okay, come on in. So, types of degrees and certificates that we're going to talk about first. Obviously, we have the CNA certification. That's the basic nurse aid training that we have available. There are several programs in the area that are available for this, and those are available through Walker Medical. There's a couple other programs in the area, but Walker Medical seems to be the best one to attend right now. There's also Stepping Stone. They have classes in Muskegon and in Grand Rapids as well. They're fairly a new program to the Grand Rapids area, but they've been in business in Muskegon for several years. You did? Okay, good. So there we have, those are just a couple in the area. I know there are other ones, but those are the primary ones that are available. Some nursing schools too. Hi, if you could sit, we're filming. Okay, thank you. So with that, the other things that you can do is you can start your nursing school program. Some programs have the availability of, once you've gone through a certain aspect of the nursing program itself, they'll allow you to sit for your CNA board exam. And then you can also work as a CNA, get involved in the nursing world, if you will, while you're still training to get your LPN or RN license. So then the first type of program for a nurse is actually a certification program. It's a practical or vocational nursing program. It's usually a 1-year to 18-month program, depending on where you go, and it trains you in the basics of nursing. The difference with practical or vocational nursing programs is that they may or they may not be regionally accredited, and we're going to talk on this a little bit more later. Some credits, though, with these programs may not be transferable, so that's something to keep in mind. You're able to work as a practical nurse or vocational nurse. You have to take and pass the NCLEX-TN. You don't have as wide of a scope of practice as an RN does. You have to be supervised by an RN. You're not able to work alone, contrary to what some people believe. And then you can primarily work in home care, doctor's offices, long-term care facilities, that thing. A lot of hospitals don't allow nurses to work in hospitals. So that is one of the differences in LPN. So then we have your associate's degree. You can get an Associate of Science or an Associate of Arts. It's a 2-year degree. It's going to give you the basic and full RN training that is required under Michigan law. Usually this is going to be a 2 to 3 year program. You have to take and pass the NCLEX-RN. You have a much wider scope of practice than an LPN does. You're able to work quite a bit more independently and you're able to get out there. You are expected to practice at a higher level than an LPN because you are supervising. You have a wider range of opportunities. As I stated before, most practical nurses aren't able to work in a hospital setting, so you can do that as an RN. You can also practice a bit more independently. The program should be accredited and approved by the state of Michigan. I cannot put that out there enough. I don't know if any of you guys are on allnurses.com. It's a website that talks to nurses and allows people to talk. There are so many programs that will just spring up and say, oh, we're this, that, or the other thing, and then come to find out they're not even approved through the state. They've spent $40,000 to go through a program that they can't even use. So making sure that it's accredited is really important. Then we have the Bachelor's of Science in Nursing. This is a bachelor's degree. It's usually a 4-year program, so people take longer than that. Most magnet static healthcare programs make sure that you have a DSN. Most of them are moving towards making sure most of their staff have a DSN. And it's due to higher expectations and higher levels of care. It's also due to the Affordable Health Care Act or Obamacare as well. They are pushing for that, especially JCAHO and other accrediting agencies. This is going to build on the basic trainings of an RN, and it's going to provide a more thorough nursing education, practice nursing at a higher level, and it's also going to give you a better review process and understanding as you're practicing. It can be completed after an associate's degree, or it can be completed before licensure as well. And then more opportunities are even available for BSN level graduates as well. Then we have the Master's of Science in Nursing. I have my master's degree. I was able to finish that online, which we'll also talk about in a little bit. This is going to train nurses to work at an advanced practice level or train them further in executive leadership or education. I got mine with an emphasis in education, so I went that route. You can become a certified nurse executive or a certified nurse educator. You may also become a nurse anesthetist and a nurse practitioner. Those are other options for you at the master's level. The expectations to practice at a higher level of nursing, you still hold the RN requirements for the state of Michigan, but you still are expected to have the knowledge and practice at the level of your education. It may also be a prerequisite if you're entering a DNP or a PhD program. Then we have our advanced practice nurses. Those are given special certifications. Nurse practitioners, they're able to function much like a PA or a physician. They can have specialization in psych, family, women's health, geriatrics, and things like that. A certified nurse midwife, those are ladies who help deliver babies, and God bless them because I don't think I could do that. They have had quite a bit of advanced training in women's health care and things like that. So some midwives can actually own their own business and operate independently. The insurance for that is quite high to my understanding, but some of them do have their own businesses and deliver babies at home, so that's kind of interesting. The nurse anesthetists, those are the nurses that are with you in surgery. They're helping the anesthesia, they're helping the doctors during processes like that. They are specially trained. That's usually going to be a bit more advanced training for that type of a degree than others, but it is a really good program to get into if you're into that kind of thing. Then we have clinical nurse specialists. They work with others to advance their nursing practices, improve outcomes, provide clinical expertise, kind of what Ethel does in the MDS offices. So working together to help the interdisciplinary team. Specialized training can be included with an MSN or as a post-MSN certificate. Then we have the DNP and the PhD. The DNP is a doctorate of nursing practice, and a PhD is a doctorate, usually in philosophy. DNP is the highest level of nursing degree achievable, as is the PhD. It allows practitioners to operate at a doctorate level within their clinical practice. A lot of organizations are pushing for nurse practitioners to be certified at the doctorate level by the year 2015. This is not going to happen, but it is something that they are pushing for. So you're going to start to see a lot more nurse practitioners who call themselves doctors. While they're not a doctor in the truest sense, they still hold the title of doctor and can meet that. So, for instance, they should introduce themselves as, "Hi, I'm Dr. Nurse Jones. I'm your nurse practitioner today," versus, "Hi, I'm Dr. Jones." You get the distinction there? There's quite a bit of a difference there. Many MSN programs are actually moving away from the master's level and going quickly into a DNP operation. This is done for financial reasons, and it's quite a bit of a more lengthy program. It adds about another 4 to 6 years on top of your bachelor's or master's degree. The PhD is primarily geared toward those wanting to teach, complete research, or move into a less clinical role, maybe be an administrator of a hospital system or something like that. Many nursing instructors have PhDs, and then some are moving towards the DNP. The DNP is more clinically based versus research based, so those who are wanting to teach seem to think that the DNP is a little bit more practical for that role. Either of these can use the title doctor upon receiving their degree, but again, not to be confused with the physician. Any questions about that? Okay. So then we have accreditation, and this is going to apply to all schools. Whether you're going back to school for nursing or you're going to school for business, accreditation is one of the biggest things to be aware of. Schools themselves should be accredited. When you're looking for a school to attend, whether it's online or a traditional brick and mortar school, the school's accreditation should have a regional accreditation versus a national accreditation. This ensures that the school has been checked out and is federally approved. So we're looking for regional versus national. National accreditation often does not allow for transfer credit. Many programs are not recognized, and you often can't get federal financial aid to attend a nationally accredited school.
What's the regional one?
It's the regional one. Yep. And that, whether you're attending the University of Phoenix online or you're going to Grand Rapids Community College, those are the programs that you really need to be double checking and triple checking. So just to be aware of that. Then we we have nursing accreditation. If you're going to a nursing school, your nursing school should be accredited. This is usually required. If you're going into any workforce, they're going to ask that you're accredited from a CCNE, an NLN school, or something similar. So we're going to talk a little bit more about that. There's types of accreditation. They include the National League of Nursing Accreditation and Commission, which is an absolute mouthful. That accredits all types of nursing education programs, including master's, baccalaureate, associate, and diploma programs. The Commission on Collegiate Nursing Education, the CCNE, they accredit programs that offer only master's and baccalaureate level nursing degrees. So they're not going to be an accrediting agency for your associate's degree, diploma programs, and things like that. The Council on Accreditation of Nurse Anesthesia Education Programs, or the COA, they're going to accredit the nursing assistants. And then the American College of Nurse Midwives, Division of Accreditation, they're going to accredit the nurse midwives. So those are the different types of accreditation. Each state sets standards. Michigan is going to have a different standard than California and Florida and vice versa. So that's why each state has its own individual board of nursing. That's why there's not a national nursing license. Some people have complained about this in recent years, you know, it's the same test, why don't we have the same standards across the board? Understanding, though, that each state operates differently and each state still governs itself, and that's why they do it the way that they do. Approval by a state board of nursing does not mean that the school is accredited, though, by a national accredited organization, and that's something to keep in mind. While it does mean that you will not receive a quality education, it doesn't mean that you're not going to receive quality education or that you're going to be ineligible to sit for and pass the NCLEX. It generally does imply that you will not be qualified to attend an accredited nursing school in pursuit of additional education. Let's say you got your associate's degree, you're applying to another school, but your school wasn't accredited. Chances are they're going to pass you over for somebody who went to a school that was accredited. So that's something to think about if we're going to continue your education as well. The CCNE is officially recognized by the U.S. Secretary of Education as a national accreditation agency. It's an autonomous accrediting agency, meaning it operates independently and it contributes to the improvement of the public health. CCNE ensures the quality and integrity of baccalaureate, graduate, and residency programs in nursing. It also serves the public interest. It's constantly assessing. Every few years, if you're accredited by the CCNE, you have to go through a renewal process. It's much like when the state comes in to visit us and goes through their processes, they have to do the same thing. They have to make sure their curriculum is up to date and that everything is approved. So that's something to think about. They're not just giving them a certificate and hanging on their wall to look pretty. They're really investigating it and checking out the program to make sure that they're a good quality program. The National League of Nursing, a lot of people have heard of the National League of Nursing. The ACEN supports the interests of the nursing education, nursing practice, and the public by the functions of accreditation. Accreditation, in this case from the NLN, is a voluntary self-regulatory process by which non-governmental associations recognize educational institutions or programs that have been found to meet or exceed standards and criteria for education quality. So they're more quality-based. So they're looking for the really good programs out there that they can give accreditation to, but it's a voluntary process. They say, hey, we'd like you to come in and check us out and show us what you're made of, and if we can qualify, we'd like to be a part of you, in a sense. It's also the entity that is responsible for the specialized accreditation of nursing education programs, both post-secondary and higher degree, and these can offer either a certificate, a diploma, or a recognized professional degree, such as a clinical doctorate, master's degree, all those good stuff. So let's talk about the types of schools that are available. We have online schooling and we have traditional schooling. So traditional nursing classes, or any classes for that matter, in a brick and mortar school, are going to offer students the opportunity to get their class and get their schooling done by going to a campus. Much like you would drive downtown, go to Grand Rapids Community College, sit in a lecture, much like what we're doing right here, learn your subjects, pack up, and go home. Take your test, have your regular semester. Students get to have face-to-face contact with their professors and classmates. If interaction is something that's important, a traditional course is going to offer this opportunity, whereas an online community will not. Most colleges and universities offer an abundance of nursing and other classes for those taking the traditional classes. The downside of the traditional classes is that they limit learning. Some classes may only be offered once a year. Well, if that's the one class you need to graduate and you have to wait a whole other year, that's kind of a downside to that. I mean, who wants to wait a whole year to finish their degree when that's the one class they have to take? Students who take traditional classes are expected to attend classes at scheduled times. That may not always be convenient for them. You know, maybe they want you to come in at 7:30 and you're a night shifter. That's hard to do. Another downside is that the learner can sometimes get lost in the crowd. Maybe you're just a number. You're just another person paying tuition, things like that. Nursing courses and other courses have hundreds, nursing courses especially, but other programs as well, have hundreds of students attending, and there's also waiting lists for some programs as well. You may have a 4 to 5 year wait to get into some programs. Whereas, online nursing classes and other classes as well, they're going to offer students the chance to earn their degrees on their own terms. So, if it's not convenient for you to go into class at 7:30 in the morning, you can log in at 8 o'clock on a Saturday morning and sit in your pajamas and watch a lecture or participate in a classroom discussion. For some people, that's a little bit better of an option. There's no need to drop everything and attend classes. Online nursing courses offer a great deal of flexibility. You can be anywhere in the world and attend class. You can be in Paris in a cafe and sitting there attending class over in the United States. It's pretty interesting. Students may also participate in advanced or even accelerated courses to complete their degree in time. Let's say you don't want to wait 6 years to take a class. With online learning, in some cases, you can actually get it done much, much sooner. The downside to online nursing classes, not all colleges and universities offer them. Those that do usually offer a limited number of online classes. Contact with classmates and professors may be limited. It's not like you're going to log into a Skype session every day or something similar, have a video conference and meet these people. I feel lucky enough, I did online education, I found it worked well for me. I was able to Skype and Facebook and actually meet, in a sense, a lot of my classmates that way. So we would get off the board and talk about, hey, how did you work on this project and things like that. So that was another interesting way that we were able to communicate. We wouldn't have been able to do that 10 years ago, which I think is really cool. The downside, there's quite a bit of downside to the online classes too. Online courses may be more expensive, usually several $100s more to $1,000 more expensive than traditional nursing classes. This can be a downer for some people. Any type of online class may be a little bit more expensive, just because you're kind of paying a little bit for the convenience, right? I mean, you're going to online schooling, it's easier for you, so you are going to be paying a little bit for that convenience. Then you have to think about it. You want to go full-time or part-time? Full-time, you're going to get done a lot sooner. You're not going to have all the, the drama and things like that. You're going to go boom, 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 and be done. You can take short courses, extra courses. You can go all the time. You can take as many classes as you think you can handle in that semester and get done. You're not limited either by your employment positions by the time you're done. The downside is that you may have to choose between work or school. I mean, depending on how quickly you want to get done, you may have to decide, okay, I'm only going to do this, and that can be difficult. Some students going back to school have to work to pay for their classes, so full-time working is not even an option for them. So part-time nursing classes let students get their degree over time. They have the opportunity to work full-time and pursue their dreams of education part-time. Part-time classes allow students a chance to take control of their learning experience. They can decide when they're going to go. The downside to attending a part-time class is that it can take a long time. It can take you an extra 4 to 5 years to complete your degree if you're only going part-time. That's okay. I can see that quite a bit in this one. So students may be limited to the classes that are available when taking classes online. What do you do? Ultimately, it's going to be the choice of the student. It's going to depend on your personal learning style, your commitment level, and how far you want to go. Maybe a good blend of both online and traditional. Let's say you've never attended online classes before and you're not really sure how it's going to go. Well, then you can take that opportunity to try one. I'm just going to try one class and see if this is going to be a good fit for me. But for some people, that's the best way to do it. Perhaps you like to work on your own and you don't like those pesky group projects. I know that was one thing I always hated is because it always seemed like one person, usually me, in the group was the only one doing the work. So I always hated paying for other people to get a good grade. That also just infuriates me. So one of the great advantages that I found with online learning is you don't have those group projects. You don't have that hassle. So that's something to think about. Online programs offer more flexibility. So traditional programs offer a solid base. They've been around for years. You know what to expect when you're going to these traditional programs. So let's talk about a couple of them. Grand Rapids Community College. They offer a wide variety of courses. They do offer online and offline courses. They have RN and LPN programs with local clinicals. If you're a Kent County resident, they're going to give you a discount on your tuition. But GRCC has a long wait list for their programs. Once the Great Recession hit about 5 years ago, they have seen such an influx of people. Their wait lists right now are approximately 6 years to get into some of their programs, including nursing, engineering, things like that. So, and very few spots open each semester. I think only about 30, depending on the program that you're wanting to get into. So when you've got 500 people applying, think about it. That's
Why don't they open more?
they don't have enough teachers. That's part of the problem. Go ahead.
So let's say that let's say you're going to go there for nursing, but then you go for something that's even higher than nursing. So then is there still going to be a wait list or no?
It just depends on the program. If you're going for something like engineering or something highly technical like that, there may be. If you're going for business administration, maybe not. So you can always contact the school itself to find out what type of waiting list that they have. Sometimes they'll post that information on their website too. Grand Valley State University, this is on the news last night that they're having such an influx of students, they can't house all of them. So they've got a waiting list right now just for places to house their students, let alone their classes. They offer both a BSN and an RN to BSN completion program. They also offer advanced practice degrees, such as DNP and nursing administration. They're highly competitive, not much offered online, there is a waiting list. Muskegon Community College, my mother actually went to Muskegon Community College. They have a wait list of about 3 to 5 years. They offer only traditional programs. They're not yet offering online programs. You may have to drive to the Lakeshore though for class or for clinicals. They are accredited. They have LPN and RN programs as well as many, many different other ones. But you don't get the tuition discount at Muskegon Community College if you live in Kent County. So that's something to think about. There's Everest Institute here in town. They offer a practical nursing degree. The program itself is very rigorous, but it is thorough. They do offer full and part-time programs. One of the biggest downsides to Everest is the tuition is very expensive. It's up to 3 times higher than other programs, and you are only getting a practical nurse. Last time I heard tuition was anywhere from 35 to 37 grand for the program. So because they're a private for-profit institute, so that's
And you didn't have to wait.
and you don't have to wait. they have no wait list. So one of the great things is that you can go and you can get in right away. You usually start within 2 or 3 months. So for some people, that's a really great option if they don't want to wait. I actually attended Everest. I found it to be a very thorough program. The problem though is some places locally won't hire Everest grads. It unfortunately got a bad rap, about 15 years ago, and unfortunately that has still stayed. When you're living in a small community, medically speaking, like Grand Rapids, they tend to develop opinions and ideas, and it takes a lot to get that changed. So they are also not regionally accredited. So you take classes there, they are not going to transfer. Baker College. Baker's over in Muskegon. Is that where you went? Yep, Baker offers some good programs. I've heard a lot of good. Their nursing programs are still fairly new there, but their college as a whole has been very professional for years and years, and they have a really good standing. They offer an associate of science in nursing. Some classes are offered online. They offer a BSN. It's a private school, so tuition may be a little bit pricey. They may or may not have a wait list, and again, their programs there are newer, so they're not totally fully developed yet. So take some caution. They are accredited though, so that's something to consider. So online schools, let's talk about this for just a second. There are 100,000 online schools out there. You type in online school for whatever you want to do, whether that's business, nursing, engineering, I don't know. You're going to have 500,000 results from Google. So the most important thing, again, is to check for regional accreditation, tuition costs, what programs are offered. Are they even offering a program you want to take or are interested in? If not, move on to the next one. Some programs are self-paced and self-study. This can be difficult for people who are not overly motivated. But it also allows you to advance more quickly if you are. If you're somebody who thinks, boom, 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 I can get this done, that's going to be a great option for you, especially if you don't want to take a 10-week class when you could do it in 5. I know how frustrating that can be, having done it myself. You should have thorough internet and computer knowledge, or you're going to at least brush up on those skills before attending. Most of them will give you a very thorough orientation to get used to their programs and how they work. Some schools are private, some are non-profit. Tuition is going to be determined by what the school is. If the school is private, the tuition is going to be usually quite a bit substantially higher than if it's non-profit. Excelsior College. I picked Excelsior because they offer online LPN to RN programs. If you're an LPN, you can get your RN online. It's an associate's degree. They also offer BSN, MSN, and certificate programs. It is self-paced, and it can be a pro or a con. You're pretty much on your own. They have some type of tutoring available, but you have to be disciplined and you have to know what you're doing. The clinical weekend is very intense, very extensive, and it is pass-fail. You do one thing wrong, you are out. That's it. They stop it immediately and you're out the door. I actually did Excelsior's online program personally, and that weekend I don't think I'd ever want to go through that again, because you were watching every little thing that you do. It's very intense. A girlfriend of mine down in Florida also did it, and she had to take Xanax the whole weekend that she did it because she was so stressed out.
So what, do you do clinical?
Yes.
In the hospitals?
We do clinicals. I went to Syracuse, New York, and did it at the teaching hospital there. You have a preceptor with you the whole time, and you are watched like a hawk. I mean, every little thing that you do. The first patient I remember that I saw, he had a bed sore that covered his whole backside. And I don't think they had anticipated, it was supposed to just be a wound to make sure you knew how to treat wounds, and I don't think they had anticipated that his wound was quite that bad. And I remember the preceptor saying to me at one point, you know, if you contaminate this again, I'm stopping your test. So that's how particular they are. And you know, when you've got a wound this big and you're trying to pack it and to keep things sterile, it's nearly impossible. So thankfully I got through and passed, and I did pass on the first try, thank God. So, but it was a very, very intense weekend.
What's the tuition?
Tuition, I believe, was right around about $15,000 for the classes. I mean, the clinical weekend itself, overall, almost was $5,000 because you have to pay for the clinical weekend itself, which is almost $3,000. Then I had to pay for transportation costs to get to Syracuse, hotel, food, and all that other stuff. So, like I said, it's not cheap. And these people that go and don't prepare for it, I don't know how they do that. Because I don't know about you guys, but $5,000 is a lot of money, and you know, to blow through that is.
Is this talking for the whole
For about the whole program.
program?
Yeah,
Or
you
because
get-
you like years?
It depends. I've had online, you can read where some people have gone through it in as little as 6 months. So they're very disciplined and self-disciplined, and they've gotten through it quite quickly. So very interesting. So a lot of faculty support. You need help. Faculty is really good about getting back to you. Western Governors University, WGU. Their mascot is the night owl, so they didn't have a regular logo. They offer RN to BSN, BSN to MSN. One of the great things about WGU is they have the most affordable tuition in the United States. What they do is they offer a flat rate per 6 months. So let's say you're going for 6 months. They charge, I think it's $3,800. You can take as many or as few classes as you want to in that 6 months. So you pay one flat rate of tuition, you can get through. Let's say you want to get through your whole program, which is not very likely, but you want to be that disciplined and self-paced, you can get through it. So for online schools, they have the best tuition in the United States. They are regionally accredited. They offer self-paced learning with mentoring support. It's competency-based. So let's say you're talking about statistics. You know everything there is to know about statistics. Well, instead of taking a 10-week course, you can go in and test out of that class. Boom, you're done. That's it. So that's just kind of an example. That's kind of a quick summary. It's, of course, a little bit more than that, but you know, if that's something that you're good at and you know about, why wait? That's something that you're comfortable discussing. Take the test, get it done. A lot of it is paper writing, APA format, a lot of research and things like that. So if that's not your thing, that may not be for you either.
So are they just an online school, or?
They are. They do have a brick and mortar building out in Salt Lake City where they're based, but they are primarily online. The University of Phoenix. They offer LPN to BSN, ASN to BSN, BSN, and then RN to MSN. Tuition is very expensive. It is an online school, but a little bit slower paced. You also have group projects that are done online, which if you've never done that before, it can be a disaster. It is accredited. Some schools have a brick and mortar campus, but others do not. A lot of people choose the University of Phoenix. I don't have an opinion either way. So, but I just wanted to put that out there because it is one of the more well-known. They are for-profit, so that's something to consider. Chamberlain College of Nursing, chamberlain.edu. They are strictly an online nursing school. They offer associate's, bachelor's, master's, and doctorate programs. Some require that you do your clinicals locally, and then tuition can also be a bit pricey for these programs. Somebody on one of the nursing boards that I'm on had spent almost $100,000 by the time she completed her master's degree with Chamberlain. So. Kaplan University, you guys have heard of Kaplan Learning, Kaplan Institute, things like that. They do other educational pieces. They offer test preparation. They started initially as a test preparation school. So they are reputable and accredited. They offer everything up to a doctorate. Tuition at Kaplan is expensive, so you consider. Some programs may be self-paced, and then they partner with other schools for flexibility and availability, and they also have a pretty wide range of what courses they'll accept from transfer programs as well. There are also some things to consider about an online college, that if you're going to attend that. The college network is probably the biggest scam out there. I don't know if you guys have heard of them or not. Basically, they sell you binders about yay thick, charge you about $600 for a binder of copied paperwork and say, here, go take a test. It's expensive. They call them study guides. They're junk. Several of my online friends had at least looked at them. They'll have a sales guy, almost like a used car salesman, come to your house and present to you how wonderful this program is. And you'll go $10,000 in debt, but what they're not telling you is you're not enrolled in the school, they don't help you get enrolled in the school, these study guides are about 10 years out of date, so just be aware of that. Distance Learning Systems is another one. They claim to be affiliated, but they're not. They are similar to the college network. They do offer online tutoring, but again, junk. Check with the accrediting agencies and check with the BBD if you're not sure if this is a helpful program. And then diploma mills pop up every single day on the internet. All it takes is the ability of someone to set up a website and they can call themselves a school or university. So what constitutes a diploma mill? If somebody says to you, oh, come and we'll just give you a degree based on your work-life experience, that's a diploma mill, but they're out there. A legitimate degree should include coursework, it should include grades, it should include feedback. Programs that you find out about through unsolicited email. We all get those in our junk email box. Oh, attend such and such a school, you'll be done in 6 weeks, or you can have a degree in 6 months, something like that. That email's usually spam. Avoid programs tied to unaccredited schools. If you want your degree to be accepted, it really needs to be accredited. Avoid programs that promise you a degree in a short period of time. Earning a degree does take time, and 14 days is not going to cover it. Avoid programs willing to negotiate fees. If they don't have a set tuition fee, something is seriously wrong, and that should be setting red flags for you. A legitimate school is going to offer you financial aid, but it's not going to reduce your fees. They may offer you a grant or a scholarship, and that's a little bit different. But to actually say, oh, we'll give you a deal, you know, let's barter, let's trade on your tuition here, that's usually a sign that it's not a real school. Avoid programs that allow you to buy honors, such as the Honor Society and things like that. Avoid programs that offer to create fake transcripts. They send those through the mail, that's a felony. They're sending false information through the mail. That's illegal. Avoid programs that charge you a set fee for a degree. Let's say they say, okay, for $5 grand, we'll give you a degree in business. That's not a real school. And then avoid programs coming from schools with ripped off names. Does the name of the school sound familiar? You know, say Columbia State University instead of Columbia University. See the difference? Or Grand Valley University instead of Grand Valley State University. That can be a little bit difficult for some people to decipher. So how much does it cost? Every single school is going to vary. Every single school is going to have a different tuition rate. Brick and mortar or online traditional schools are going to offer much different tuition than online schools. Some online programs, though, will offer you in-state tuition if you're an online school student. So, in-state tuition, for those of you not familiar with it, let's say you live here in Michigan, you're attending Grand Valley State University, they're going to give you a discounted rate versus somebody coming from Alabama. So, when you're attending an online school, a lot of times they'll give you that in-state rate, which can save you $3 or $4 grand on your degree versus paying the out-of-state tuition rate. And then there's many ways to pay for school, and our organization here offers tuition reimbursement. So they offer up to $2,500 a year for full-time employees and $1,250 a year for part-time. You have to submit an application before your classes start, and Human Resources approves that. Courses must be eligible and they must be taken at an accredited school. You have to pass with a C or better, and then reimbursement is paid at the end of the semester upon completion of the class. But again, it's another way to help pay for it. So $2,500 a year is actually quite generous. Scholarships are available too. Scholarship website, FastWeb, scholarships.com. A lot of the schools have scholarships of their own. Many of the schools have internal scholarship programs. Our eWithin newsletter that comes to most of our employees here, they run scholarship opportunities as well. And then there's also local opportunities. Local paper, the bank. I know I'm a member of Lake Michigan Credit Union. Every year they offer a scholarship. So that's something to consider as well. Federal financial aid. Everybody in this room is qualified to get federal financial aid. You have to fill out a FAFSA, and that's based on your income. You go to FAFSA.gov to see how much you can qualify for. You do have to put in your income tax information. There are so many repayment plans out there, it's ridiculous. You can pay interest while you're in school. You can, make base payments and things like that. You do max out at a certain point. I believe for graduate students it's $168,000 a year or something like that. Anyone can access the federal financial aid. Exemptions to this are if you've had a drug conviction, if you've maxed out your receivable amount, etc. Okay. You have to sign a master promissory note to accept the financial aid, and then loan forgiveness is also available for the federal government. If you choose to work at a facility, that's a government-based facility, and say you'll give them 2 years, they will forgive all your loans. That's just one such example. There's several others out there. I know especially for advanced practice nurses, there's a lot of information out there as well. Private loans. Many banks offer private student loans. Sallie Mae, have you heard of Sallie Mae before? They're the biggest one. I don't recommend them. Way too many people have trouble with them. The private loans are really hard to get to. You either have to have a co-signer or you have to have a darn near perfect credit score of 750 or higher. No, it's really not. They usually have a higher interest rate, and they can permanently ruin your credit. And they come after you like a dog after a bone. You default on a loan with them, and you're in deep, deep trouble. So, you need to pay close attention to the small print if you go this way. You can also pay out of pocket or with cash. A lot of people going part-time will do this. You pay cash and you don't graduate with a large debt. So, some schools may offer a payment plan too if you're paying with cash, because then they don't have to go through all the process and rigmarole and paperwork. You're paying cash, so guess what? They're going to be a little bit more lenient with you to accept payment plans. Just ask. There's grants. Grants, unlike loans, do not have to be paid back. They're income or situation based. You may only use federal grants though for 12 semesters and the maximum amount of $5,500 a year. So that's a calendar year. This is helpful for low-income persons, and your FAFSA will help determine if you're eligible or not. So you want to learn more. You can visit the education office, come see me, I'll sit down with you, I'll be happy to walk you through a FAFSA and go through all the options for you. I don't mind helping any of you apply either. If you need help maybe applying to the schools or deciding which one is for you, I feel like that's one of the best things that we can do is for everybody to get as educated as they want to be and can be. Apply for your FAFSA, get that filled out, especially if you're wanting to start. One other thing about online schools that I didn't yet mention is they have many start dates throughout the year, whereas with the traditional program, they may only have one or two. So that's something else to consider as well. Any questions?
How much of a